This is a tennis racket. This is also a tennis racket, but it's used to play on a court which has sloped roofs and walls and rules that are so weird that you think a medieval wizard came up with them. This is the OG racket sport, the sport of kings. Literally, Henry VIII played this sport. It's got complicated scoring systems, it's got weird lines on the floor, and the vibe is a little bit like a mix between Squid Game and medieval times. Today, I'm gonna give it a go. I'm probably gonna get an injury, I'm probably gonna embarrass myself, but it'll be fun finding out. We're gonna go into this building over here and we're going to try out real tennis. Well, here we are. Welcome onto a real tennis court. There's a lot of stuff going on here, isn't there? So I should probably ask someone who knows what they're talking about what all this stuff actually means.
Hey Dan, Camden Riviere here. Real tennis world champion, world #1, and the guy who knows what they're talking about. Before there was tennis, there was this. Real tennis. It's also known as court tennis, or jeu de paume if you're French. It's played indoors, played off walls, and was once played by kings. Indeed, Henry VIII had his own court at Hampton Court Palace, and he probably broke the neck of more rackets than he did wives. Fast forward a few hundred years, and the game is still alive, preserved in a handful of historic courts around the world, like this one in Holyport, England. Now, I know what you're thinking. This doesn't look like any tennis court you've ever seen. That's because it isn't. So let's break it down. This is the real tennis court. It's asymmetrical, has a bunch of windows and a droopy net. It has sloped roofs called penthouses that you're allowed to hit. That weird jutting wall, that's called the tambour. And yes, it is also in play. There are openings in the back wall, like the dado-ons and the grill, and also the winning gallery. And if you hit the ball into them, automatic point. It doesn't matter how fancy your opponent's footwork is, if it goes in there, it's over. And then there are lines on the floor, lots of lines. They mark out service boxes, chase areas, and other things that will make slightly more sense later. Slightly. Well, I hope that made sense. And if you want to see more of me, Camden Riviere, world champion, be sure to check out my Ball Slaps podcast, which is coming out soon. Or will have come out ages ago, depending when you're watching this video. Back to you, Dan.
Right, so now it's time to give it a go. I'm with Christian, as always, who endeavours to beat me every time, sometimes makes it, often doesn't. And I'm with Josh, the real tennis pro. So Josh, let's have a walk into the court, and why don't you tell us all about the history of real tennis as we go in?
So all real tennis courts, you'll walk down these side galleries. This is how all players walk onto court. Back in kind of medieval times, this is where spectators would tend to sit to watch the game. These were slightly cheaper seats. So these would be kind of packed with people betting on games and watching their favourite players. The history, this sport goes back a long, long time. It's a little bit tricky to define exactly when the sport becomes the sport it is today. Same way it's like when does a corgi become a corgi rather than a wolf. There's no clear line when to call it tennis. But a good starting point is kind of 14th century France. So kind of monks playing in their recreational time, they'd often hang a line in their cloisters, in their courtyard. And they'd use kind of rolled up tunic to play a game, kind of like volleyball or handball. But we think from those days, that box called the grill, which is now a winner, that's a target in our game, that would have been the hatch through which the monks would serve their food at lunchtime, is that after France, the game would have moved out to kind of outside castle walls and castle gates, and there'd often be kind of markets lined up. And at the end of the day, shopkeepers would kind of close up their hatches and hang a line in the middle. So these would have been the kind of the hatches for, where the merchants sold their goods. So they would have fed the ball onto the roof, and they would have started a rally or started a game with kind of multiple groups of people on each side of the net.
I ask you to do one thing. is ridiculous. Oh my lord! Oh my lord!
The net. Why is the net kind of like going down like that as opposed to?
Why isn't it going down? I mean,
Yeah, like a regular tennis net, I suppose,
Yeah.
is more horizontal.
Yeah.
And this one has got a weird.
The functional reason really why is it encourages play to be cross-court, so it encourages a rally. Most kind of exciting of them, got 3 point-winning targets. So the biggest of the 3 is called the dead-on. So it's this bit of netting here through which we can see the club room and the kitchen. So if your ball goes in there, similar to scoring a goal in football, if your ball goes in there, you win the point straight away. Give it a go.
Let's try and get out of the way, Christian.
Here we go. Might take me a couple. So, here we go. Oh, under. Under again. There we go. Oh, unbelievable. There we go. 4th try. That's shocking. 2 more targets. So the grill, which I talked about earlier on, that's your point-winning target there. So same rules there. And the very last opening on the left here, so just past that last brown wooden post, you might be able to see a bell hanging in there behind the ball machine.
Yeah.
That's called the winning gallery, and that's also a point-winning target.
Christian Blackerby. Hello, Daniel. First impressions, 2 seconds with the racket.
First impressions, looks like it's going to be good fun, difficult, and surprisingly heavy, actually, the racket and the ball. I've been doing it for only a couple minutes, and already I'm like, oh, it's quite heavy in the hand now. So,
Show me some skill.
yeah. I've been practicing my volleys already. But instantly, when you hold the stick, it really gets off the floor. So you can see, if you're able to get it anywhere near the back of the wall, my retrieval's not going to be very good. So, looking forward to seeing the master at work retrieve some of those shots.
Josh, tell us what kind of shots you're going to hit to him, or what he should be doing.
So here, especially as a kind of newish person to the game, you want to keep the swing very short, you want to keep your strings behind the ball, and you want to minimise any unnecessary movement. So you want to avoid big kind of long, languid strokes. You want a nice, straight, short, punchy swing with your weight travelling up the court.
All right, you got that, Christian?
Got it. Here we go, easy. Ready? Here we go. Oh, yes. Good.
Nice.
Oh, it's tough.
A few moments later.
Great get.
So, Josh, how do we rate Christian at the moment? Is he doing the right thing?
11 out of 10.
Excellent.
Best I've ever seen.
And he's trying to hit the tambour, is it?
So his ideal shot here, is to land the ball in the corner just to the left of me, either hitting that blue square or catching that tambour, that slanted bit of wall.
Yes, Christian, very nice.
That's what Rob's going to look for. He's just going to look for any sign of weakness, anything he can work with. He's not having it all his own way, so can he get Cam frustrated? Can he get Cam to make some mistakes? Can he get a few more short 3 points, that kind of thing? That's what he's looking for. Anything he can work with, because you can bet he's still throwing his brain and his body at this match.
Really kind of step of ball making to hand, so that's worked out quite well. Right in the middle of the real tennis balls, you'll find crushed up wine and champagne. And that's what I get out of it. So it's quite a long handle, that stuff is going to help it be a bit stiffer and a bit stronger.
Josh, tell us about lines on a court.
Lines on the court. So these are all to do with quite a kind of quirky rule in this game called the chase system, or the chase rules. And this was a kind of rule that was popular in games hundreds of years ago, but hasn't really carried through to the modern racket sports today. It's a tough one to explain, and not because it's super complicated, but there's no kind of obvious parallel I can compare it to. But I'll kind of start from the beginning. So really, it revolves around winning the right to serve in this game. So this game, you don't change servers automatically. You will have to win the right to serve, and you'll do that by creating a chase. So a chase is when your shot bounces twice on the floor and it's not touched by the player. So in normal tennis or most racket sports, that would be a point in your favour. But in this game, you will call out where that second bounce was, so where that ball has died on the floor, and you will mark or call out that line. So if you look over there, you'll see a bunch of lines on the floor, and they're all measuring roughly yards. So the first 6 of those are numbered, and after that, they've got names, but they work exactly the same way. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yards, and then after that, they'll have funny names like last gallery, yard worse than last gallery, yard better than second gallery, but really, to put it simply, we're standing on one big ruler measuring yards from the back wall over there. So this is the receiving end of the court. That's the serving end of the court. When you're playing, you're not just playing for points, you're playing to control the good end, the serving end of the court. So I actually want to try and hit chases as much as I want to win points. So the way to do that is by hitting my ball kind of wide with some backspin, hoping it skids through and the player isn't able to touch it with their racket. Now initially I wouldn't get a point for that. So if we were playing and it was love all and I've hit a ball past you, you would say where the ball's bounced. So you might have said chase 2, it's bounced on line number 2, and we'd say love all, 1 chase. And we'd keep playing that game until either I hit 1 more chase, so any chase, could be chase 4, 5, 6, or if we get to game point in that game, because we have that chase 2, that will also trigger a change of ends. So 2 triggers, either you have 2 chases, or you have 1 chase and someone gets to game point. We're almost there. So once you change ends, there are special conditions for that first point. Using that chase 2 example, so 2 yards from the back wall over there, we've changed ends. I'm now on the serving end over there, and I'm serving to this player. The rules for this player, when we're playing chase 2, is every shot this player hits, the second bounce must land behind 2. So you can imagine quite a tough challenge if you're the receiver. The person over there, in this scenario me, as the ball's coming toward you, you're making a judgment, can I leave that ball and it will bounce in front of 2, in which case I'll leave the ball and I'll say it bounced, lost the chase, bounced worse than 2, or bounced on chase 4, 5 or 6, and then I win that point. Or is the ball going to land behind 2 on the second bounce, in which case I'll keep the rally going and hope the next one they hit too long or too short, and I'll try to leave that one. Once you've played those points, you return to normal rules, so you aren't playing chases anymore, but I now stay serving. So I've won the right to serve. So that's kind of roughly how the chases work. There's lots of tactics that arise kind of out of those rules, and it kind of influences the way the game is played. It might influence the kind of serve you hit because you want to open up and close off parts of the court. But that's a kind of rough idea of how the chases work.
Yeah, and how does scoring work?
Scoring very similar to lawn tennis or kind of other similar racket sports. 15, 30, 40 game, and you play a set of 6. Couple kind of small differences that don't make much of a difference. The way you call the score, you will call out the most recent point first. So you won't call the server's score first. So for example, if we're playing and I'm serving, if I win the first 2 points, it'll be 30 of me. But if the receiver or you were to win the next point, the call would be 15-30,
Okay.
even though I'm the server. The other difference would be, in this game, you wouldn't play, so once you get to 6 games, that's done. You wouldn't play to 7, there's no tiebreakers. So if you win 6-5, that set's done, next set begins. But those are the only 2 real differences in terms of the scoring.
Oh,
What went wrong with that one, Daniel?
didn't know where the court was. Oh.
So how hard are you finding it to read the path of the ball?
Well,
as it's
because
been
the
coming?
balls are a little bit irregular and they're all different. So when you get it right, I mean, it feels lovely, but we know that the sweet spot is so small. There you go. But it's a bit like playing, the bounce is a bit strange there. But I'd say it's a bit like playing baseball or hurling or something like that. When you get it right, it feels so nice. Oh, almost killed Josh. I can feel it in my elbow now.
Yeah.
It's like, it is hard to do. Oi, 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 right, oh. But like, the faster it is, actually I can read it a bit better. The slow ones.
Yeah, your consistency has definitely improved actually since they started coming.
Yeah, I'm going for the automatic win.
No shock there.
Oh, look at that. Oh, that hurt. That hurt a lot. Oh! Oh. Done? Okay, so hurts. It's pretty heavy. Like Josh said, like the sweet spot is tiny, but when you get it right, it feels really nice. And it's like that slicey motion. So actually, if you watch paddle, like that last video I did, you know, paddle has a lot of slice, so that feels a bit more natural. If you watch paletta, that's all about slicing. A lot of these things are slicing. And because it's so, you know, there's no give, you know, like you said, topspin's not gonna work, hitting it flat might judder. That slice, right, it feels really good, but it does like put a lot of pressure up your arm and into your elbow. But it's really fun when you get it, when you hit it right, it feels absolutely amazing. So yeah, Josh, why don't you just demo us like a few of the most popular serves? Yeah.
Cool. Your most common serve is called the bobble serve. It's going to be everyone's second serve from beginner up until kind of world champion level. Very simple serve, grip high up the racket, open face. We're trying to drop the ball onto the roof, not fire it up there, drop it onto the roof so that it rolls around in a kind of wide-ish arc. And ideally, we want that ball to be kind of in between bouncing and rolling, which is why it's called a bobble serve, as it comes off, so the volleyer, or the receiver, isn't tempted to volley the ball.
And it's got to like go past that white line there.
Sorry, I should say, yeah.
And it's got to go land in the blue before that other big white line, is that right?
Yeah, so for that serve to be legal, it has to touch that stretch of roof, so our service penthouse, and also land into that kind of large blue rectangle on the floor, the service box.
Yeah.
But not past that last white line there.
What's the first white line?
The first white line in doubles, if the ball were to roll around the back roof and drop into that kind of small rectangle, at that point, the non-receiver can play the ball.
Okay.
But generally, you don't want to be doing that.
Okay, right. Bobble serve away.
Bobble serve, very simple. High grip, open face, being underneath the ball and lifting the ball onto the penthouse so that it rolls around nice and slowly and lands near the back wall. All I'm trying to do here is make sure that person isn't able to play an aggressive return back to me. I'm hoping that ball ends up near the back wall and they're forced to lift the ball back and start that rally. Once that rally begins, everything kind of works in my favour. I've got that corner over there with the tambour and the grill, so anything that hit back to me, I'm able to just play a firm shot into that corner and hopefully play a winner or get one more weak shot back.
Yeah. Okay, and then a few other serves.
A few other serves. So your kind of next most common serve is called a sidewall serve. Very similar idea. We're pitching the ball slightly higher, slightly firmer, trying to catch that bit of wall above the roof so that the ball will roll down, catching the roof on the way down and come into the player.
Okay.
So it can be hit flat or it can be hit with some backspin. So there's a flat one. So quite a simple feed. And with some spin, oops, edit that one out. There we go. There we go. With some spin, comes up a little bit quicker.
Yep.
There we go. So two very useful serves. You can go a long way just by having a bobble and a sideball serve. A couple more variations. So one more common one would be the high wall serve. Similar idea as that sideball serve, but now we're pitching the ball much higher, trying to have that ball come down, land on the roof, and rush on that back wall. So very open face, pitching the ball very high up. There we go. And hopefully that ball stays quite close to that back wall. Won't do another one because that was quite good. Here we go. Here we go. So one more serve we'll look at is the underarm twist. So now we're trying to skim the ball on the roof with some back and some side spin, trying to have that ball kind of jump awkwardly, trying to catch out someone who wants to volley the ball. Here we go. So open face, back preparation. We're going to go forwards and just skim the ball on the edge. Oh, a bit short. Trying to catch just the edge of the roof and have the ball kind of skid awkwardly along the edge.
So now's the time we've all been waiting for. I'm going to jump on court and I'm going to play Christian in a game. So I think it'll be fun. We're both beginners. We both don't really know what we're doing, but Josh is going to score and tell us what we're doing as we go along. It's a really fun court, isn't it? It's massive. It actually doesn't really reward you too much for hitting it super hard. And obviously we've spoken about how you want to get the chases, so it's a bit of a finesse game, but very hard as well to understand the bounce and to get it to hit really nicely. But it's fun because it will bounce along the roofs. You can get your automatic points by whacking it in there, or in in that last net over there, or in the big net at the back. There's also quite a cool feature on real tennis courts where you have like a trough down here that catches all the balls that go into a basket there, so you can keep your 72 balls ready to go really quickly. I guess you can't do it in tennis because you'd probably kill yourself, but it's pretty fun. Obviously extremely expensive to make a court like this. Josh, courts, how much do they cost?
To build a new one of good standard, at least £1 million, kind of going towards like £1.5 million.
We're 1.5 million. I can't imagine this is the kind of thing that's going to make money for a club. It's a passion, isn't it?
If you build one of these, it's for the love of the game. You aren't doing it for money.
How many courts are there in the UK?
About 23, 24.
In the world, do you know?
In the world, in mid-50s, low 50s, so not tons, and we're the biggest player. It's kind of between here, the US, Australia and France. Oh, well played. Game. Double faults.
Okay, so Christian, I'm joined by you again. We'll just have a quick conversation about thoughts and feelings like we end all these videos. First of all, thank you very much to Hollyport Real Tennis Club for hosting us today. It's been really fun, and thanks to Josh for giving up his time, because that was an awful lot of time to teach two people who didn't really know how to play. But by the end, I feel like you're kind of getting it, and you can almost understand the chase system.
Almost.
Which is really, really complicated, and you can only really get it when you play. If you understood it by the description, let us know in the comments. But Christian, what do you think of the game?
I loved it, to be honest. I think it is undoubtedly tough to pick up. I think if you haven't played racket sports before, you're really going to struggle.
Yeah.
Of the racket sports I've played, this is definitely one of the hardest ones.
Well, people say this is the hardest.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with that. I mean, I think we come from paddle-y, handy, rackety backgrounds. So for us, we've played similar sports, but even then, you can get some nice shots back when they're fed nicely, but as soon as it's coming over in speed,
Yeah.
you don't really know what to do.
Yeah. I think, there's clearly, there are a lot of variations with spin and angle of the ball and height of the ball and that kind of stuff. Is it kicking off the back? Positioning on the court is tough to begin with as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like the history. I like the traditionalism of some of these sports is really interesting. And actually, like Josh said, you can actually see the evolution from hand to racket in this country, and I guess in a lot of sports. And I was saying earlier, it's really interesting that in countries like the UK, your evolution of hierarchy of sports goes from hand to racket. If you play with a racket, you are the elite, which is a little bit like what we're playing here. This is elite. If you are in more of a Basque region, it goes the other way. It goes racket, paddles, or pallets to hand. The hand people are the elite. But yeah, certainly very difficult sport, very elite sport, because there aren't many courts. And it's pretty expensive. We spoke about paddle being expensive before. I think this is actually cheaper to play than paddle, so it's not elite for that. But there's so few courts, and I guess rackets are expensive, and just I guess the ecosystem of real tennis is elite as well. Yeah,
even the fact that you need to, we had 72 balls to play with, each one of them handmade, shows you that it's going to be a tough sport to scale, I think.
Yes, you're probably right about that. And like you say, I mean, in today's day and age, so in the last video, I spoke about paddle. And why is paddle taking off? Because it's really easy to monetize, among a lot of other things. But one of the things is it's very monetizable. It's a nice, attractive investor prospect. This is not. This is £1.5 million to build a court, and you will never get that back through membership fees or court hire. So it really is for the love. And I do think we used to do more of that in sport, especially in the westernised world. I think that a lot of sports are dying off because we don't really care about sport like we used to. It needs to make money now, otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, which I think is a reason why, generally speaking, courts are getting smaller and rules are getting simpler, so more and more people can effectively pay. But it does mean that you start to lose the more, I guess, nuanced tactical games, which are harder to learn and develop. Yeah. But actually, once you get a hang of them, they are fun.
They are. What do you think the future of this sport is?
I wouldn't like to make predictions. I don't know much about it, but I don't think it's going to grow.
No, probably won't grow unless there's an apocalypse and the only place left is a real tennis court. But yeah, the history is amazing. The fact that Henry VIII played it, and if you go to Hampton Court Palace, you'll see one of those original courts. Like, that's incredible. But yeah, generally to sum up, I'd be like, it may be a bit of an elitist sport, but it is a fantastic sport to play. It's so much fun, and that feeling you get when you hit it right is the reason you want to keep coming back, because it feels so good. It's a bit like, hitting that perfect shot in golf, playing those other sports where you're like, oh, I could just do a little bit better. I could just, if I just played again and again, and you're just striving for that perfection, more so than in other sports. Like tennis, the sweet spot's pretty big on the racket. This is tiny. So when you get it right, it's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, really fun to play. And I'm glad we gave it a go.
Certainly am.
So now you know what real tennis is, or WTF real tennis is, and if you ever get a chance, give it a go. And if you're getting boozy at Christmas and you have enough champagne, you too can make your own real tennis ball. So anyway, thanks Christian, thanks to Hollyport, thanks to Josh, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.